Yes, we can start. So welcome devotees. Today we have, Guru Maharaj will be talking about the glories of Lord Narasimha, and we'll be talking. Guru Maharaj will be, discussing the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 18th chapter, and 10th verse. So the last week, Guru Maharaj discussed about the envious nature of the living entities and how Prahlad Maharaj or any pure devotees want to work, to work towards the welfare of all the living entities. And Guru Maharaj gave the example of how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered all the living entities at that time when on the request of Vrindavan Das Thakur. So Guru Maharaj, if everything is okay, we can start now.
Yeah, I'm not going to continue with that chapter. It's only those two verses I did. That's all.
Okay. So let me share my screen, and then I will. Maybe we can. You can let me know the verse, and I will share. I will open it up.
There's no verse today.
Okay, no verse today. So should I stop sharing then?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Let's see. We only have 9 people on, so it's kind of sparse. Okay, I'll just speak a little bit. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Pacharine Nirvase Sunyavadi Pastyatya Resatarne Vanshikapatuscha Vipa Sindhuve Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'll need 1 more minute before I can begin.
So devotees, whoever joined, just Guru Maharaj is coming in a minute.
Yes. So we'll leading up to the appearance day of Lord Narasimha, which is next Sunday on the 15th. And before that, we will discuss Narasimha from different angles of vision, with stories and various types of mantra prayers, along with just descriptions. And when we get closer to the date, we'll start narrating the actual story. So for today, I'll just speak in general. Lord Narasimha is a manifestation of Lord Narayan from the Vaikuntha realm, and he's an eternal feature of the Lord's appearance as a protecting aspect for his devotee. As we read from the Bhagavatam the other day, one of the qualities of Lord Narasimha is Brajanaka Brajadamsta, and he uproots or destroys in the material world, the conditioned soul is subjected to fruitive activities. It's one of the prominent features of the material world. People perform activities in order to get some material benefit from the activity. That's called fruitive activities. It usually falls mostly in the mode of passion. When it comes into contact with devotees, they also have a tendency to become still affected by this mood of fruitive activities. In other words, performing some activity for some benefit. In devotional service, the mood is to serve Krishna for Krishna's pleasure and not looking for anything else in return but to satisfy Krishna by performing activities. But sometimes devotees look for some material gain from the activity, and that's called fruitive activity. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj in the previous verses that we discussed praise, my dear Lord, these fruitive activities are so deeply entrenched within our hearts and minds, and they cause us so much distress. Therefore, you have the power. You can uproot these fruitive activities by your mercy. So, Lord Nrsingadev, he sits within the heart, and therefore he has the power to uproot these desires for fruitive activity. And devotee becomes free and happy and clear, because as long as the desire for fruitive results for activities are performed, then one can never really taste the happiness in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, one will go on performing activities looking for some benefit from them. The benefit is in the activity itself and not in some result from the activity. Of course, we want to please Krishna. So this is one of the features of Lord Nrsingadev's mercy, is that he uproots the. Another thing is that the material world is based on what is called the external energy of the Lord. The external energy of the Lord is called the Maya energy, and sometimes it's also referred as the illusory energy of the Lord. And the conditioned souls have a tendency to be attracted to the different forms in this world or averse to those forms. So attraction and aversion are two very prominent features of the conditioned soul's activities in the material world, attached to something, averse to something else. And these forms are part of Maya's expressions to attract the living entity to try to engage these forms in some kind of satisfaction. Now, this is called material life. So one sees a form or something that they appear that will give them some happiness, some pleasure, something, and they run after these forms. Of course, the most powerful and most enchanting of all the forms in the material world is the attraction to the opposite sex. And so that deludes the conditioned soul into thinking that there's happiness in that type of enjoyment. And so the conditioned soul, or even devotees, become attracted to the pleasures or the forms of the opposite sex. And so we pray to Lord Nrsingadev to please uproot these attractions. So one of his features, he helps one to see clearly the illusion that these forms present. Well, in other words, one may become attracted to something in this material world, but by the mercy of Lord Nrsingadev, he reveals to the devotee that there's nothing there. It's just Maya, it's just an illusion. It's there to bewilder the conditioned soul, so they engage more in the activities that will entrench them in the three modes of material nature. So that's another one of his features. And another feature of the Lord is his feature to get rid of material dangers. So I'll read one story. Perhaps you find the story interesting. And I'll go and I'll read this particular story. And the story is, it's a story that happened many years ago. It's just one of many stories that centered around Lord Nrsingadev. Let me see here. Find the story. Okay. So he protects against material dangers. This is the theme. And this story was told by the people involved. So try to listen carefully. There's about 800 words to this presentation. We arrived home just after 9 o'clock that night, not knowing at all what was destined to happen to us. We parked in the driveway. In a sort of routine way, we walked to the front door. We started to go inside when the sound of many footsteps startled us. We turned around and witnessed the most frightening sight. There were 5 men standing in a semicircle in front of us. We were cornered. There was nowhere to escape except into the house. They were all dressed in dark clothes, and 4 of them had balaclavas covering their face, in other words, masks. They all stood in the same stance, pointing their guns in our direction. My heart started to beat faster as dreadful thoughts rushed through my mind. Will I make it out of this? Will they hurt us? Will anything happen to my family? This is when I heard the voice of my father screaming, Krishna, Krishna. The man whose face was visible commanded us to go into the house and deactivate the alarm. He said, be quiet or I'll shoot you. Again, my father's voice, Krishna, Krishna. As one enters our house, the first room visible is the temple room. The men could see our Prabhupada deity and our altar. They instructed us to kneel on the floor of the entrance hall. However, my mother insisted on walking farther into the house. When one of the men asked her where she was going, she replied mechanically, I need to put off the alarm. I need to put the alarm off. He pointed a gun to her back as she walked off, but for some reason he did not follow her. They did not move beyond the temple room. I decided the only thing I could do was join my dad. I screamed loudly with such anger and desperation in my voice, Nrsingadeva, Nrsingadeva. I started to scream the Nrsingadev prayers at them as if I was using it as my weapon. My dad then pointed to a picture of Krishna on the wall and very courageously explained, this is my Lord and he is going to save us. The men were silent. They didn't say a word. They stood there looking really confused. Then the man who did not have the mask on his face pointed his gun towards my dad once again, but his hand started shaking and he didn't pull the trigger. From his facial expression, I could see how terrified he was. He was trembling. His eyes appeared as if he had seen a ghost. He turned around, picked up the set of car keys, our car keys, and they all ran away. After they left, the police and the guards from our security company quickly arrived on the scene in response to my mother's phone call. Later, my mother told us she did not see them carry any firearms at all. Perhaps if she had seen them, she would have not been so brave as to set the alarm siren off and phone the police. So now the question arises in my mind, why couldn't the men walk behind the temple room, walk beyond the temple room? Why didn't they follow my mother into the bedroom? Why did my mother not see the guns? What made us react to scream to the Lord for help and not be silent as the robbers demanded? Why did the men look so terrified? Could they see something that we couldn't see? The answer is simple. The Shringadev was there. The Lord protected us that night and he saved us from being harmed by these terrible men. We could all have been killed. We do not question what did we deserve this traumatic incident, but rather we see it as an educational experience to increase our faith in Lord Nrsimhadev. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Mahana Narasimha Damstram Kaladvadanya Gaurarupam Rajanaka Jwalamaline Mama Vigam Pacha Pacha Mambayam Bindi Bindi Mama Satrum Viravayam Viravaya Mama Sarva Vistam Prabhajayam Chatta Chatta Hanna Hanna Chinda Jinda Mama Sarva Vistam Puraya Mam Raksha Raksa Hum Fat Swaha. O Nrsimhadev, whose form is terrible by sharp and long teeth, who is very, very fearful to see with strong, large nails, and who is guarded by flames, destroy my obstacles and kick out my fears, scatter my enemies, destroy my karma, flash, kill, cut. Ever fulfill my desire to serve you and protect me from and all around me. All glories to that most ferocious, most caring Lord Nrsimhadev Jai, Lord Nrsimhadev Jai, Srila Prabhupada. Well, there's a nice story. It happened actually in South Africa. This particular story. And let's see here. I'll read some more. Lord Nrsimhadev manifests as Bhakti Vigyan Vinasana, one of his names. He who removes the impediments for the path of devotion. Therefore, it's very important for us to take shelter of his lotus feet, praying to him that he removes all obstacles in Bhakti Yoga. And explained that Lord Ganesh removes all obstacle. Why? Because he holds the lotus feet of Lord Nrsimhadev on his head. Yad pada pallava yugam vinadaya kumbham dvande pramadi samaye saganari raja vigna vahantam almasya jagatrayasya govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. It is holding the lotus feet of Lord Nrsimhadev that Lord Ganesh has acquired this ability to remove the impediments of the three regions of the material world, upper, middle, and lower. And this is why Lord Ganesh is considered to be Siddhi Datta, the giver of success. In the material context, Lord Nrsimhadev removes the impediments. In the spiritual context, Lord Nrsimhadev removes the impediments. Once the impediments are removed, then success becomes easy. So in Kali Yuga, we find there are so many impediments, obstacles, blockades, reverses. This is the nature of this age. Even if you don't do anything different, these things will appear automatically. It's just the way this age is. It's fraught with negative energy due to the quality of age. You might say, well, why is that like that? The answer would be, it's like asking, why is it cold in the wintertime? Because it's winter. Why is Kali Yuga such a difficult age? Because it's Kali Yuga. It's the age of quarrel, the age of hypocrisy, the age of sense gratification. Therefore, there are so many obstacles, even for those sincerely trying to execute the process of devotional service. So therefore, we can take shelter and pray to Lord Nrsimhadev. Mahir Nishimho, Ridaye Nishimho, Nasring Hamadim saranam prapadye. Lord Nrsingadev, if he is outside, he is inside. And therefore, I take shelter of Lord Nrsingadev. He is everywhere. So here's an account written by one devotee. For instance, this is actually written by Pankaj Jangri, who's no longer with us, but he had many experiences with people who had experiences with Lord Nrsingadev. He was Lord Nrsingadev's primary pujari. And he says, during the last Purnima festival, I called over one lady, Mataji, in the crowd and asked her to distribute the Lord's Charinamrita to the ladies, which she did. Later, when she brought the Charinamrita pod back, she remarked that Lord Nrsingadev was very merciful to reciprocate so quickly. She said, I was praying this morning that I might be able to offer some direct service to him, and now you have given me the service. Yes, I said, desires are quickly fulfilled in the Holy Dham. Just see, the same day you desire it happened. No, not the same day, she said, the same moment. The very instance I expressed that desire to serve him, you called me over. Wow, that is amazing, I acknowledge. Did you hear about how Mataji's eye problem was cured at the same time that Lord Nrsingadev received back his original eyes after one donor had brought him new eyes? Oh yes, she told me. As a matter of fact, I was staying in the same building when Lord Nrsingadev spoke to her. She added, you know, there is so much energy around that night that nobody could get any sleep. Just a few days later, another devotee revealed how Lord Nrsingadev helped him. I was suffering intensely. I could not even stand without supporting myself on the column in front of Lord Nrsingadev's altar. I prayed, please help me take away this suffering condition so that I may serve you fully. I then felt all of my pain moving up and flowing out of my body. It just left. While I was hearing this, I noticed another devotee who had come for the darshan of the Lord. Earlier in the morning, this Mataji asked my advice what to do, for she was afflicted for many weeks with a problem that contaminated her body, which wouldn't allow her to paint some deities where she was staying in Assam. Although she had already been commissioned to do the service and was given an air ticket to go. Mataji, I explained while walking to her over to her, Lord Nrsinga is giving instant benedictions. Why don't you ask him to remove your problem? The very next morning when she saw me, she said, thank you so much for the advice. You know, when I arrived home from the temple yesterday, my problem had completely disappeared. Some days later, another lady came to the Pujari room and told us about a dream wherein Lord Nrsingadev walked and talked with her just like a father. When she asked how she could serve him, he told her to offer him some mangoes. 1 week later, when she brought the mangoes for offering, Jananivas was telling some other pujaris how fortunate that Lord Nrsingadev came to her in a dream and talked to her and held her hand while walking with her and gave her personal instructions. The lady then exclaimed, actually, there was more to the dream than what I had previously told you. Lord Nrsingadev said to me, my pujari is very dear to me, and I'm going to take him back with me. Oh, don't do that, please, I fearfully explained. We want him to stay here. No, I think I will take him back. After And after my pleading with him for a long time, the Lord firmly announced, "All right, I will take one of the leaders instead." And now, as you know, just a few days ago, His Holiness Gaur Govinda Swami, who was the GBC sannyasi and guru, suddenly left his body, apparently with a heart attack. I didn't mention it before because I didn't want to alarm anyone, but now it's come true. I feel it's all right to tell you. When I repeated this story to my friend Vishwambar from Carolina, he said, "This is amazing. My wife also dreamed about Lord Nrsingadev and mangoes. You see, yesterday, while she was walking outside the Mayapur campus, she saw a jar of mango pickles in the shop and desired to buy them for Lord Nrsingadev. But doubting the purity of the contents, she decided not to. However, last night, Lord Nrsingadev appeared in her dream and asked, 'Where are my mango pickles?' When Lord Nrsingadev first came to Mayapur, all the pujaris were reluctant to worship him in his awesome form. Baba Sindhi Das was particularly frightened and always very nervous in worshiping him. One night, after putting the Lord to rest, Baba Sindhi was leaving the altar when he heard such a tremendous sound that it made his hair stand on end. Looking back fearfully, he saw that everything was in place. So he quickly left, locked the door, paid his obeisances, praying for forgiveness for any offense he might have inadvertently committed. At the end of the night, the shaking of his bed awakened him. Baba Sindhi was sleeping on the top of a bunk bed, so he thought it must be the pujari below getting up for Mangal Arti. However, when he opened his eyes, he saw Lord Nrsinga sitting on his bed. The unfortunate pujari became very fearful, practically to the point of panic. As he tried to get up, Lord Nrsingadev placed his two hands, which felt like the weight of the universe, on his shoulders. "Be peaceful, be calm," the Lord consoled him. "I just come to tell you that when you worship me in the temple, you have no need to fear me. Please give up this fear." The Lord then disappeared, but Baba Sindhi began to run up and down the veranda of the long building where he slept. "What happened?" asked some concerned devotees, but they only received incoherent replies. They started to think maybe he had gone mad or become haunted by a ghost. Finally, Baba Sindhi ran over to the temple and prostrated himself before the door where Lord Nrsingadev was worshipped in heartfelt prayers. After some time, he became a little pacified and began walking back to his room. And then he says, "But I was wondering why everyone was staring at me." When he looked down, the answer was obvious. He was only dressed in his underwear. I saw Baba Sindhi at the last Gaur Purnima festival. He is now living in America, and asked him about this incident. He said, "Yes, I still have those two marks from Lord Nrsingadev on my shoulder. They're almost gone now, but they are still visible." He wasn't the only one to claim to have seen Lord Nrsingadev. Once a devotee from a nearby Gaudiya math came to worship Lord Nrsingadev and told our head pujari, Jananivas, that Nrsinga Chaturdasi, he has been staying all night, all night, then chanting. Then at the end of the night, our Lord Nrsingadev manifested himself in his room. It was the form of Lord Nrsingadev from a temple. He was wearing a red dress and he appeared to be smiling at me. My Guru Maharaj said I was very fortunate, should come here and worship Lord Nrsingadev. Another time, the frantic parents of a runaway boy, after searching all over the country, finally heard that their son was at our Mayapur center. They immediately came and spent the whole day looking for him, inquiring at the reception desk from the individual devotees. but they were not at all in luck in finding him. At the end of the day, during the Sadhya Arti of Lord Nrsimha Day, his mother was praying with folded hands. My dear Lord, the last time I came here, I happily participated in the chanting and dancing. But now my heart is broken because of my lost son, and I find no pleasure in life anymore. My Lord, if only my son could be returned to me, then I would raise my hands and chant Haribo, Hare Krishna. As these words left her mouth, a figure passed and stopped before her and Lord Nrsimhadev. It was her lost son. Both parents have now accepted Vaishnava initiation, started a Namhat center, and enthusiastic preaching the glories of the Lord. Now, these are some of the few of the many stories that center around personal experiences with devotees with Lord Nrsimhadev. He is very personal, and he's always there to protect the devotees. Just like the other night, I had just taken rest. It was about 9:30 in the evening. I just laid down. I was about to enter into sleep when I hear a knock on my door. Now, I don't know, there would nobody be coming to me at 9:30 at night. And the place where I stay is open. Anybody can walk in, climb the steps, and then they can approach any of the apartments. There's no gates, no locks. Anybody can walk in. So I was thinking, that's strange. Somebody is knocking at my door at 9:30 at night. And I knew it wasn't the devotees. I was thinking it was maybe some burglar or someone. And immediately, all I could think about was Lord Nrsimhadev. So I put the form of Lord Nrsimhadev in my mind, and within a few moments, everything was silent, and the intruder, who had tried to intrude, because he tried to turn the handle on the door at the same time when he was knocking, was gone. And so I just went very peacefully back to sleep. So as soon as I thought of Lord Nrsimhadev, and I was not really praying to him, just putting his image in my mind, then immediately the intruder disappeared. The Lord Nrsimhadev is always helping his devotees. Okay, there's a few stories that we can. We pray to Lord Nrsimhadev, Sri Nrsimha, Jai Nrsimha, Jai Jai Sri Nrsimha, Paladadesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringam, Ugram Viryam Mahavishnu, Jwalantam Sarvatam Mukham, Nrsimha Vishinam Bhadram Nityam Namamayaham. And one beautiful mantra to glorify Lord Nrsimhadev and his consort, Lakshmi Devi. Vagishya Yashya Badane, Lakshmir Yashyasya Vakshasi, Yasya Tam Vidyam Samvit, Tam Nrsimha Aham Bhaje. There are unlimited and innumerable mantras, prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev. So it would be very devotional and an expression of personal appreciation to adopt some of these prayers and chant these prayers regularly. Especially, it might be nice to take on a little schedule, vow, of chanting these prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev regularly. And there are many beautiful prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev. Okay, and there's many that are given by great souls. There are many mentioned in the Bhagavatam. many in other Puranas, other stotras for Lord Nrsimhadev. Okay, I'll stop there and then we can see if the devotees would like to ask any questions or anything in regards to Lord Nrsimhadev.
Jai, Jai. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. It was so nice listening on nursing these stories, and it's always astonishing to know, and it's very reassuring as well, I should say, that Lord is always there whenever you call him for protection, and he comes and he helps. And it was really nice to hear a South African story as well. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for sharing with us. So devotees, if you have any question, comments, realization, that would be really nice to hear your stories as well. And if anything has, passed through with you, with Lord Nursing Dev, so it would be nice to hear. And please try and keep your cameras on so we can see you as well. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So Guru Maharaj, while we are waiting, I would like to definitely say something about Lord Nursing Dev. And while you narrated all the stories, I was remembering the time when about, I think 4 years back, when I was traveling from my hometown to Mumbai, and domestic flight. And you can see that domestic flights are not good at all in India. You feel like you're sitting in a roller coaster. And this flight was like, literally my plane was literally halfway tilt, and it was heavy thunderstorm, and like people were falling down from the seats. All the trays in the plane were well dropped. Air hostess, they could not stand up, and they were like, plane was, and it was heavy thunderstorm and lightning was hitting the plane like anything. And there was, I have no idea how we survived. And I was alone, and I was scared, completely scared. And I started crying. I had bead bag in my hand, but then I started nursing their prayers so loudly in the plane. Namaste Narsingaya. And you will not, I have no idea how that happened, but the plane was moving like, literally it was upside down. But in 15-20 minutes time, everything calmed down, and plane was so smooth. We had another about, I think, 30-minute ride, and it landed smoothly. So I just felt like some energy was there which had calmed everything down, and the plane was safe. The kids were crying, and it was complete different chaos. And that was my first encounter. And the time when I had literally prayed to Lord to come and protect this plane. And I never felt death can be so scary. It was so scary. I can still whenever I think about it, I feel like I'm going to die. But Lord has definitely, that was the first time when I called for help, and he helped, literally.
Yeah,
And
you saved everybody in the plane, not just yourself.
except everyone, yeah. When we came down from everyone literally came to me and they were hugging me, and I was surprised that how did that happen. But I was so loud in my prayers because it was scary for everyone. But yes, thank you so much for reminding me that time, Guru Maharaj.
They interviewed you when you got
No, they did
afterwards?
not interview. but yes, everyone was so happy because I could see, the smile on their face, and they would, like, literally everyone was coming and giving me hugs, and they were asking me about the prayer, like, what prayer you were singing. You were so loud. And
Was in India?
yes, yes, it was my hometown to Mumbai.
Oh, no, okay. You should teach him now. Here's who you worship.
Yes, they could see from the beat bag that she's Hare Krishna's.
Yeah, there was one of my godbrothers. He's now in Hawaii, and he was on a plane flight, and the plane was going, and then the plane lost. It just started to descend real fast. It was crashing, and everybody starts screaming, and he's sitting there, and he's got his japa beads. He's calm. And he's just chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Everybody else is screaming, and people are running, don't know what to do. And he's just sitting there calmly. And then just before the plane was about to crash, the pilot somehow or other pulled it out and saved the whole plane. And then, of course, when people were getting out of the plane, everybody was still quite distraught by what happened. And he walks out, and he's calm. He's got his japa beads in his hand. And then, the reporters came around to, make a story out of it. So they saw him, and it was indicated that he remained calm to the whole thing. And they asked him, "How'd you do that?" And he said, "I was just chanting the Lord's name. That's all."
It wasn't the case with me. I wasn't calm at all.
Oh, good. Anyway, it sounds like an exciting story. You should write that up and put it into a little article. As you explained it, put it into words on an article.
Sure, Guru
Maybe
Maharaj.
as you sit there and write, you'll start to remember some more details.
Yes. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah.
Devotees, I'm sure you might have the same experience, or smaller or bigger than this. Please share. It will be nice to hear. Yes, Shridevi Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you. Please accept my humble obeisances, dear Guru Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to your lotus feet, and all glories to Lord Nishigadev. Thank you. Thank you for these beautiful pastimes. I'm just enchanted just hearing all this. And Satyabhama's story is, of course, very dramatic. Mine is just a little not so dramatic, but it's definitely, a reminder that when we turn to the Lord, He's there. This happened in New Orleans. I had just moved there, and I didn't know so much about the area. I didn't know that, after twilight or when it starts getting dark, it's not a good idea to go on book distribution and things like that. I was just very new to the whole scene. And I had stepped out, and by the time it was dark, I realized, oh my gosh, this is not good. I shouldn't be out so late. I better get home. There's practically no one in this part of that area, and I better go home. And suddenly a man on a cycle started following me and started yelling something. I got so scared. I got so frightened. Instantly, I started chanting Lord Narasimha's prayer. Instantly, I started shouting loudly, Namaste Narasimhaya, just like Satyabhama. And this man was walking along, he was cycling right alongside and yelling at me, and I was getting more and more frightened. But after I started chanting Lord Narasimha prayers loudly, I stopped feeling scared. Totally. I just stopped feeling scared. I just kept singing and chanting. I didn't care what he was doing. I was just absorbed in chanting Lord Narasimha's prayers, and I kept walking to my house. And after some time, that fellow just drifted off. And by the time I reached the corner of my house, I was so scared. A neighbor was outside, and I said, I was so scared. That man was screaming so loud. And he said, yeah, in these parts of town, people just go out and they do all crazy stuff. Better you go home before it gets too dark. And then after that, no matter where I was, before it got dark, I used to reach home. I did all my book distribution before that. It was a big lesson for me. But I really thank the Lord for protecting me.
Yeah, and you also helped to purify the man a little bit, so he heard Narasimha's name. That's good.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Probably all the neighbors on that neighborhood heard me screaming also. Who knows?
There are so many stories. There's one story where I think he was a relative of a devotee. Yeah, he was. He was in the hospital, and his relatives came, and his devotee relative came, and they were, you know, kind of like talking to him, spending time with him. And then the devotee told him, well, you should chant Hare Krishna. And he wasn't familiar with anything spiritual, but they were trying to encourage him. So they left. The next day, he was sitting in his bed, and he was he was just looking towards the door of his room, and he saw this strange, what he described as a creature standing there, looked like a lion. And the lion started to talk to him and said, chant what your friend told you to chant. Chant that mantra. And then he disappeared. So, then he told, everybody what happened. He said, this person just, strange personality. And he told me to chant. And I was trying to remember what I was told to chant. And then I remembered and I started to chant. And so he started to chant, and just about a day or two later, he died. And so he got some special mercy at the end of his life. So one who's connected with a devotee also is fortunate. That's a nice story.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for sharing this. This is again very nice to hear yours and Shridevi Mataji's stories. Devotees, if you have any other questions, or maybe on the pastimes of Lord Narasimha, Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu, please bring it forward. Be nice to hear.
I have a question to ask everyone. There is a particular video. It's the installation of Lord Narasimha in where is it? Narasimha Kshetra in Germany. One of our, around the world, there's about only 4 deities of Narasimha in our temples. We have one in Mayapur. We have one in Ujjain. We have one in New Vrindavan. And the other one is in Germany, which is called Jyada Narasimha. I have that's about a 25-minute video that is very, interesting, and it shows the installation of that deity in 1982 during a 3-day festival in September. So I'm not sure if I showed that video to devotees or not. Does anybody remember seeing that video?
I've not seen Guru Maharaj. I don't remember. But
you saw it, Sridevi?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, I did see it. I think you mentioned it, and maybe I Google searched it and saw it, but I did look out for that one.
Did you see it in Slovenia? No. Or was it on a previous Narasimha Day?
You mentioned it in, I think you mentioned it in class, Guru Maharaj. And I think maybe you even showed a little bit of it. Maybe not the whole thing, but maybe you showed a clip of it.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Yes, Guru Maharaj, you last year in same Narasimha Dev pastimes, when you were mentioning, we all showed it in the class also, I think. So
I showed it.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, yeah.
Yeah, and the Narasimha Leela says also that she saw it in Ljubljana. Okay. Well, it wouldn't hurt to see it again, but I'll choose one day and maybe we can show it again. I'm sure some of you haven't seen it.
Guru
Anyone
Maharaj, there's
else?
one more deity of Lakshmi Narasimha in ISKCON Bangalore, which is really very, very beautiful and very beautifully decorated with little Prahlad standing nearby.
Okay. I don't recall that deity. Okay, so here's some pastimes. So we can break from here, and tomorrow we'll continue with more either stories or glorifications of Lord Narasimha, all the way up till the appearance day of Lord Narasimha.
Thank you. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Just before closing the call, I would like to remind all the devotees for the upcoming retreat in UK, and starting from 24th June to 28th of June. And all the information has been provided in the email, in the conference email. If you're not in the email, conference email, then please you can message either myself or Srimati Mataji, and we will add you in the conference. Or if you would like to just know the information for the retreat, please message us as well if you have not received it yet. So there's still places available, and you can still register for your place for the retreat. So please do let us know. It will be nice. We have a special guest, His Grace Bhuta Bhavna Prabhu and Her Grace Chiti Shakti Mataji will be joining us, and there'll be special classes on Krishna's pastimes. So it'll be nice to have your association.
And there's many, many other events which will center around the whole event. I think I can't really say for sure because I'm not involved with this directly, but there will be other events centered around other topics, which will have breakout sessions, and we'll also have devotees coming in and doing other programs just to inspire the devotees. It's not the 28th, it's the 27th.
24th to 27th. Friday to Monday.
Yeah. Friday is a half day, Monday is a half day. Okay, so we'll stop here, and we're just ending right around time.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. Thank you very much.